Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be discussing the topic of culture, but of one particular culture, and that culture is the Aztecs. You see, in the Aztec culture we often hear about the human sacrifice, but we don't understand why they were doing these sacrifices. I'm here to tell you why. What is the basis of every culture? What does every culture want to embrace for its people? They want its people to be able to live their dream. That's what makes a great culture. But now the Aztecs were in a rather psychoactive environment. They had access to plants and medicines that which, if you were true to God, you were rewarded with your dream. I remember not long ago I had a friend of mine, and that friend of mine asked me if you could make a 15-minute movie. If you could make a 15-minute movie where you live your life exactly the way you want it to, how do you think you would make that happen? And as any person can tell you, a psychoactive substance, a powerful psychoactive substance, often causes a mental break. And that's when the story begins. That's when the dream begins and you control it. Unfortunately for the Aztecs, the only way to do as God intended for their people, which was for them to live their dream, they had to find a way to end the dream of that person. And that is how the art of human sacrifice became. It was meant to be as a way of controlling the dream itself, which, as you know, drug users, psychoactive substance users, they become rather irrational after a mental break, and sometimes there's no stopping them. And the Aztecs found a way to create a Hollywood set, if you wish, of monuments that told the story of reaching heaven, which at the moment you are at the place where you feel most open spiritually. They would pull you out in human sacrifice. And that is a thing, if you can understand. What was the true meaning of that story? A meaning of beauty and a meaning of darkness. Because every man and every woman in that culture, if you lived in that culture, whether you were captured or permanently lived, you were faced with making your dream come true, which is to take on possession of being the dreamer, making things around you move. But now when we look at all cultures that specifically say drugs need to be illegal, why do you think that is? Because look at the instability that it creates. It creates a demonic resonance, a demonic vibration around that notion. Drugs become a form of a marriage. according to that marriage, you get to see how much you sell your soul for. Because every journey has a cost, a price on your soul. And drugs should not be abused. They are a sacred experience that if you abuse these experiences too much, you get to see exactly what kind of dream you really want your life to be. And now that you understand why we punish those that use drugs, because it is the same concept. You cannot be a drug user if you wish to be a successful person. The success comes in different polarities. One based on physical reality, and the other one based on a mental plane. And if you exist in the mental plane, you are no longer in the physical reality. If you exist in the physical reality, you're no longer in the mental plane. But if you're slightly in between both, then I suggest you make your choice. Which one is it going to be?